Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Administrator. The honorable men and women in your agency, 10,000 strong, play a vital role in intercepting dangerous, deadly drugs before they end up in the hands of unsuspecting Americans, killing Americans. You have 3 Texans on this subcommittee who are intimately involved in combating drugs right on the front lines, as are your employees. So thank you for being here. You know, as you said, we are facing a fentanyl crisis. It's impacting every state. According to CDC data, the U.S. suffered over 100,000 drug deaths in 2021, and of those deaths, over 70,000 were from fentanyl, which amounts to about 195 deaths a day. And I understand and appreciate that you are aware of that and respecting each and every one of those in your headquarters with the memorial that you have. Now, I just wish that the rest of this administration shared your concern. In the first 6 months of this fiscal year, under the open border policies of President Biden, fentanyl smuggling has already surpassed FY21 levels and is on track to surpass FY22 levels this month. With that, it's unfortunate that the dedicated DEA agents in the field can't keep up with an administration that continues to actively work against your efforts and enable this crisis through the weak policies that this administration has toward the communist leadership in China and our own soft underbelly that is the Mexican government and on our southern border. You know, one stark difference that exists between the current and the previous administration has been our posture towards China. While under pressure from the Trump White House, China agreed to designate fentanyl as a controlled substance. Meanwhile, China announced last August that they will suspend their counter-narcotics cooperation agreement. I know that the administration doesn't assign responsibility for China policy with the DEA, and that might not be such a bad thing, but can you speak to what the administration is doing beyond DEA to hold China accountable for its part in fentanyl trafficking, because I know that affects you directly?
Congressman, if I could start by saying that I share your concerns about what we're seeing happen in China. Right now, because synthetic drugs are what the 2 cartels are making, they're all man-made with chemicals. The vast majority of those chemicals are coming from China. And so the only limit on how many fentanyl pills and how much fentanyl powder the cartels can make, the only limit is how many chemicals they can buy. And that is not acceptable.
Would it help your efforts if we were tougher with China? Trade policy. We
right now, I can speak for what we see at DEA. You said yourself, we do not have any counter-narcotics cooperation in China. In the Chupitos indictment, we specifically allege that Chinese nationals knew, the people we've charged in this case, we've alleged that they knew that these chemicals were being used to make fentanyl. They took steps to hide the fact that they are fentanyl precursor chemicals. And so we believe that we have to be doing everything we can to target this part of the supply chain, which is the beginning. It is the beginning.
Is it your opinion that China would qualify as a major drug transit or major illicit drug producing country?
Congressman, I'm gonna not engage in putting labels on it from my perspective at DEA as a law enforcement agency. But what I can tell you is that I share your concerns. I agree with you. We've seen China act before. In 2019, they scheduled finished fentanyl, and essentially almost overnight, the finished fentanyl stopped coming to the United States. So we know that they could take action to stop this, and they need to do that.
And have you expressed that to the White House?
Congressman, I am very vocal in my views about what we need to do. Americans are dying.
What is the White House? How have they responded? Americans
are dying. Well, we were fortunate to be part of the strategic implementation plan where everybody's coming together. And again, I will exercise every single authority at DEA that the Congress gives me.
Well, I'm concerned, given that the president has failed to identify China in this way in his presidential determination memorandum, despite the immense flow of Chinese fentanyl precursor chemicals being sent straight to the cartels. The administration has failed to acknowledge the severity of the border crisis, let alone visit the border for himself. It's time that the administration be honest with the American people and call out China for what they are, complicit. And we want to help you. but you're making it hard for us, given the AP article that came out last week. So I will yield back and maybe have questions in a second round on that. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.